What's up, 508 fam? Thank you so much for joining us today. We have an awesome podcast episode coming your way called Girl, You've Been Lied To, and I get to sit down right here with some of my favorite ladies, and we're about to bring some fire and debunk some lies for you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Last thing, if you haven't already, we would love it if you could like and subscribe, and then share this with someone that you think really needs to hear it. Thank you so much.
What's up, family? Welcome back to the 508 podcast. We are so excited that you're here. My name is Whitney, and we probably haven't met yet because I'm pretty new around here. I am our brand new student ministries director here at Connect Church, which is the church that 508 young adults calls home. We love it. We just want to say thank you for tuning in. Y'all, this experience, this podcast that the 508 has done has been truly the opportunity of a lifetime for our entire team. So we just want to say thank you for joining us on this journey. And it's me and Nat's first time on the podcast, so we are thrilled, very excited. And today we have kicked the boys out of the studio to bring you a podcast episode entitled Girl, You've Been Lied To. We're talking about all the hot topics today. We're talking about feminism, we're talking about music, we're talking about pop culture, and we're talking about sex. So do not turn away. We're hitting it all today. And listen, like I said, we did kick the boys out of the studio, but I would say we got ourselves a whole upgrade. So let me introduce you to the people sitting at this table with me. I've never felt more honored. Right next to me, we have the president of the Staples Corporation, Ruhama.
CEO, ladies and gentlemen.
CEO herself. Ruhama, are you excited to be here?
I'm pumped.
I'm
pumped
like
to be with the ladies.
Absolutely, it's girls' night. I feel like at this point, you are a podcast veteran.
I'm a little seasoned.
Never
with all the ladies. Like, this is great. Like, I'm honored to be here with you guys.
I love it. I also love that you said seasoned because I feel like that's how every woman talks about her age. Because we're all like, for some reason, insecure about getting old. Like, it doesn't happen to everyone. Like, I'm just seasoned. Anyways, okay, on the far side of this table, we have a financial mogul by day, the director of the 508 by night, Beca. Let's hear for Beca, everybody. Yes.
Thank you. Beca with one C.
Yes, Beca with one C. I made sure to make that point the first time I was on this podcast, but pleasure to be here. Like Ru said, I love that we're here with all the ladies. Super excited.
Yeah, this is one heck of a girls' night. Yes. I love it. Amazing. I mean, there are dudes in the studio. I'm not going to lie to you. But they don't get to talk, which praise God for that. Okay, and last but not least, we have the most beautiful half, the most intelligent half, and the best half of Dev and Nat Frye, Natalia Frye, speaking for 1.5 members of the Frye family. Yes. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to my husband for letting me be on this wonderful podcast. He's actually, to be fair, he's asked me multiple times to be on a podcast, but, you know, mom life. So I haven't had the chance yet, but to be able to do this with my girls, I couldn't pass up the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So thanks for having me.
Yay. And she is our representative of marriage up here. So I feel like you have some real wisdom to give us. Me and Ruhama over here are single, trying to mingle. Becca is in a relationship. You are a whole married woman. So I'm
married
the
whole
wife. Yeah.
The whole currently wife. Pregnant. If you're wondering why I look like I ate a watermelon, that's... If you're watching our YouTube video and you're like, what's going on there? It's a baby, so.
A very cute watermelon.
Yeah, cute watermelon.
Absolutely. Literally. Okay, should we get into it?
Absolutely.
Let's get into it.
Okay, I just want to give y'all some heads up. You need to buckle up because our first point here, we're just coming right at it. We are literally playing no games. So, first lie. Ladies, you have been lied to. Lie number 1. Our power comes from sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Nat, you want to take that one?
I will, but before I get into it, I just wanted to just take a moment to thank our church, Connect Church, and our leadership team, our pastors, Pastor Derek, Pastor Stacy, Pastor Devin, for just giving us an opportunity to use our voices. We don't see that very often in church where women can use their voices, can be open and honest about these topics. So I just want to thank them for giving us that platform to have these conversations. Absolutely. So I'm really grateful for that. But getting back to it, speaking about sex.
Get into it, girl.
Sex and power. One thing that I have noticed, and many people notice, is in today's world and today's culture, we see sex is used a lot for attention, for position, for power.
Yeah.
And that really struck a chord with me more recently. Last week, I was reading an article. Complex Magazine put out an article about a song called WAP by Cardi B and...
WAP. Just kidding. Wrong song. We can't
Not
sing the
that
real one.
I've actually, to be fair, I've never actually heard the song. I've just read about it. I've read the lyrics. I've seen stills from the music video. But I was reading the article, and the title of the article was Why Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's Empowering Anthem is So Important. And I read the title, and I was like, I'm sorry, this is considered empowering, and it's important. So I'm reading through the whole article, and I was blown away by the fact that they were stating that this is an opportunity for women to showcase that they are strong, that they are powerful, that they have a voice, and they're using that with an anthem and a theme of just sex. That's what they're using to gain this position. And I think a lot of women are tricked into believing that that's what they have to utilize in order to gain those
That's good.
those positions,
Right.
in order to have that kind of respect, quote unquote respect, is to be able to use your sexuality to your advantage.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people would argue that, women should be able to dress however they want and not have men be creeps towards them. Women should be able to behave a certain way and not, draw attention. And, we've read a lot about and heard a lot about unfortunate things that happen to women, and people will say, oh, it's because of the way that they were dressed. And then you have people on the other hand saying, they should dress however they want. And to be honest, I think that at the end of the day, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, you should not be using sex as a tool to gain attention or to gain popularity or to gain power or to gain influence. Yeah. I think, in fact, it's so superficial that it could go so quickly. Like if that's what you're building your power, your influence on, it'll disappear so quickly.
Yeah,
So true.
that's good. I've got a question. Just to follow up to that. I think women, there's been a long time in American history, world history, even women history in the church, where women frankly weren't seen as powerful. Like that a woman is, especially in the church, seen as this like subservient, our job is just to say yes. So I feel like there's kind of this voice that's saying like, this is our fight back against this time in history where women have felt like we were powerless. What would you say to the girl who really has felt powerless, and frankly this song does make her feel powerful? And I mean, a woman does have power, and absolutely sex can make you feel powerful, and it should. That's how God designed it. Is to bring us joy and affection, all that stuff. So what would you say to the girl who really does feel powerless, and is kind of feeling like going to her sexuality for that power is kind of the last resort?
I would say if you're struggling with feeling powerful and you feel like sex is your ticket into obtaining that, then you don't know who you really are, and you don't understand your full identity, because God calls us like heirs to the throne. He calls us daughters of the King. So if you have that as your title, if that is what your identity is, then there's nothing that could substitute it, and there's nothing that would make you feel even more powerful than having that.
It's good.
So that's where your worth, I think a lot of it is tied to your worth. A lot of it is tied to your value. Like if you really see yourself the way God sees you, then you would never even feel like you need sex as a tool to gain attention or to draw people to you, because like I said, it's a very fickle thing. You're young, you're beautiful. That's great. If you can naturally draw attention just for that alone, that's not like a bad thing. But I think that if you're using that to propel and keep moving forward in that direction, eventually beauty fades.
Right.
Eventually you get older. Eventually you're going to come to a point in your life where you're going to be like, I want to settle down. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want more to my life than just being known as a, sexy girl. And again, I agree with you. I think that, God created sex and it's beautiful. And I think that it's okay that you feel sexy. It's me being completely honest. I think that, if you're going out on a date and you put on an outfit and you're like, wow, I feel so good about myself.
Totally.
I feel like I look beautiful. I feel like, like I just love, I'm having a great hair day, whatever. That's awesome. I don't condemn that at all. But I think that if your mindset is, I want him to think of sex when he looks at me, that's where you go wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that the root issue to that is that, a lot of these women, they don't know who they are. They don't know how valuable they are and what their worth is.
Yeah.
So good.
I think what I hear you saying is this sexual manipulation, this power that comes from sexual manipulation is really just a cheap substitute for the real power that women have.
Absolutely.
And it's the fake thing and it fades.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you've been struggling with that and you're like, I kind of feel like that's the position that I'm in right now where I have power, I have attention, I have, a lot of people that come to me for stuff or are interested in me, but it's, I'm drawing attention because of I'm sexy or because I'm putting off these like sexual vibes or whatever the case may be, then you might need to take some time to really evaluate and figure out, okay, do I really know where my worth comes from? Do I really know who I am and like what I really want from people? Like what do I actually want to attract? Do I want to attract someone who's just interested in me because they picture sex when they look at me, or do I want someone who wants to be with me or is interested in me because I have value, because I have great character, because I have I'm a world changer, because of I can be beautiful, I can be all these great things, but it has to go deeper than just the surface.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll also add too, because I remember as I was kind of reading through this article and seeing what a lot of people had to say about this song, I feel like also this concept of power, it also comes back to, I feel like women, that power and women having an ability to control men with sex, and because of their sexuality, because of their beauty, they can thus control men. And we've lived in a society, where men have rapped about women's bodies for so long, and it's like this male-dominated world. So I can understand women viewing this as like, this is us taking back our control, showing that we actually have power over men. But kind of like what Nat was saying, if your worth is found in your power or your ability to control men or other situations in life, it's kind of it's a bit of a false narrative, because at the end of the day, the reason why we should find our identity in Christ is because our identity lies in what he did for us. So he died on that cross for us. He created us for a reason. And so he's kind of the perfect being and sacrificed all of that for us. So that right there tells us we are our worth kind of goes beyond measure.
Absolutely.
And so having that as our foundation is way more valuable and holds up way more than trying to say, hey, my identity is based on what I do, or my identity is based on my sexuality. But at the end of the day, my identity is based on what God did for me. He sent his son for me. And because he's willing to do that for me, that goes to show I am worth far more than anything that I could possibly do.
Totally.
That's so good.
So
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Got anything, Rhea?
No, the only thing I'll add is this has been happening for so long, but I feel like it's been coming from men. Like you brought this up, Becca, they've been rapping and whatever, singing about this for so long, but now these two women came out and they wanted to be upfront about it, and they wanted to take the stand. So it's like, it's a different angle, but it's the wrong angle for sure.
And I think one last thing I wanted to add in there is, I think it's up to us women to take control back, but to correct the view that men have of women in that position. Like, yes, men have been rapping about that, have been talking about that, hype that up, and women are wanting to take back control and say, you know what, I'm the one who gets to say what I want about my sexuality. I'm the one who gets to portray that. Like, I'm not going to let someone else say that about me anymore, especially it being a man. but they have it all wrong. At the end of the day, it's up to us to change how men view women and teach them how to, and of course there are amazing men out there. This is not like, I'm not bashing men. I'm saying for the men who struggle with that, it's up to women to help correct that view of women. Mm-hmm. The more women are like, no, I'm going to take back my sexuality, sex, in your face. Men are just going to be like, well, you heard it first. Like, that's what they're all about. Like, so we're going to keep doing that. Totally. Yeah. And that's not what we want. We want men to look at women as more than just sex, more than just what's on the surface. It's what's really in there, their character. Yeah. Like Becca was saying, what God did for you and what God says about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we don't have power because we can manipulate the world with our sexuality. Yep. We have power because we're smart. We have power because we're strong. Mm-hmm. We have power because we know who we are, and we can contribute to the world, not based off of something that's physical and manipulative and distorted and twisted, but because we know the God-given value that's in us, and that in itself is powerful, and that's the narrative that we should be saying about ourselves, and then we can ask men to see us that way as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So good. Come on, ladies.
So that was good.
So I think in this power conversation, an insecurity that I've really had to work through is, as someone who's like pretty extroverted, and even when I'm not necessarily feeling powerful, I like to front that I'm powerful. And as I was still am, I'm 26 years old, still am maturing and kind of growing into what that means to be this powerful woman. The narrative that's in my head constantly is, if you show up with too much energy, too much enthusiasm, too much power, you're being too much. But if you come in a little too flat, a little too mundane, a little too in the background, you're being not enough. And some mentors in my life have kind of walked me through, and this is a quote from a fantastic book, but that a woman is constantly trying to walk this tightrope between being too much or not enough, comparing that against other women, comparing that against who we were, comparing that against expectations of what we think we're supposed to be. I hate the word supposed to. I think we should just ban it from the English language. But so yeah, this concept of, so here we go, lie number 2, you're either too much or you're not enough. Help me, ladies.
Yeah, that's good. I think we struggle sometimes. I'm gonna like park on beauty a little bit and like our natural beauty. You hear some guys saying like, oh, she looks great with no makeup on, and then we were just joking about it. Whitney was like, you've never even seen me with no makeup on. This is my no makeup look, but with makeup.
What you mean is you like me without blue eyeshadow, and that is not the same thing.
Or like lipstick.
Yeah.
So I think it's just hard to balance, like, am I good enough? Like, do I look good enough? My natural self. Like, can I not do my hair and you still look at me the same way as you would? But we have here, like, in the Bible it says that God created us in his image.
That's right.
So who are we to say that, in God's image, like, I'm not beautiful enough, or my natural self isn't good enough?
Yeah.
And just the society we live in, it's like, it's so easy to, if you're not happy with something, why don't you go get Botox or go get some lip fillers, or
even something as simple as like use a different filter when you take a picture of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not bashing filters. Like, they have some really cute filters out there.
I'm also not bashing lip fillers. Like, if I had the money, hello.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Are we doing it for us though? And like, I need a little boost of self-confidence, or am I doing it for the next person?
Yeah. It's good.
And for you to look at me like, am I good enough in their eyes? I think that's something that, we should have to worry about, but yet, are you extra, or like, are you good enough? You know?
That's good. I think we do this to each other too. I was talking to some high school girls a little bit ago, and we were just talking about how there was constantly this concept of like, did you see what she was wearing? Yeah. Or like, did you see how like high that crop was on that shirt? Or she literally didn't even try this morning. Like, and I think it's these like side conversations, and it's like, come on, ladies, can we just agree that as women in 2020, we got enough going on to be trying to take each other out at the knees? That's right. Totally. Like, how many times do we reiterate this stupid narrative to each other of like, oh, I'm not trying to do the most, but I'm not trying to fall flat.
Do less.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Like,
or you're extra.
Like I hate those phrases. So so for those of you who don't know, I just moved here from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And the first month of my journey with my new Massachusetts family, which love y'all. But my first month here, so I'm 5'9" and a half. Really, I'm 5'10". Okay, here you heard it here first. I'm 5'10". I tell people I'm 5'9", so boys don't think I'm a giant. So here we go. There's just some honesty. So I'm 5'10", and almost everybody that I met in Massachusetts, the first thing they say, because remember, they all met me on Zoom, where my face is this big and nobody knows how tall I am, is, oh, you're so much taller in person, which totally fine that they say that. People don't know me. They want something to talk about. I'm very tall. I can't stand up. I'd go out of shot here. But, and can I just be like so honest with you guys about something? My next thought in my brain every single time was, oh, am I fatter in person too? Oh, am I as pretty as you thought I looked on Zoom? Because I had that Zoom pretty filter on. Like, oh, were you expecting me to be quieter? Were you expecting me to be louder? Were you expecting... How was I going to fit into the room that I'm moving into? Yeah. How am I going to fit into this group of people? And I think it's so much deeper than, like, yeah, I'm taller than you expected. But I think there's a lot of us who that's the narrative in our head is I am fill in the blank than what you expected. Mm-hmm. And I think it allows us to disqualify ourselves from so many rooms. Yeah. So talk to me, ladies, like, man, to the 14-year-old girl who's listening, or the 45-year-old mom who is looking at her body post 4 kids and going, man, this is not what I expected my body to look like at this phase of life. Or the 14-year-old girl who's going, man, I didn't think puberty would end me up like this. Like, we have expectations about what we look like and how we feel, how we enter a room. What do we say to that voice in our head?
I think it's one thing that is really important is to acknowledge it's okay to have moments where you don't feel comfortable with yourself. Like you're never going to be fully comfortable all the time, 100% at every stage of life. Like you change throughout your life. Yeah. So you have to learn to be okay with discomfort.
That's good.
And that things are not always going to be the same all the time. I think too, like, understanding that the expectations that you put on yourself that you think other people have of yourself is exhausting. Like you're never going to be able to keep up with it. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I feel like it's too challenging, like I said, exhausting, draining. And so it's important to understand, okay, like I'm feeling like people are wondering, like, you know, like you were saying, am I not like, okay, they thought I was tall. They keep saying that, you know, that I'm taller, but does that mean that they think I'm not like thin enough, or I'm too much of this or too much of that, or not enough of this, not enough of that? And I think let's strip the expectations that we put on ourselves from other people. Strip them. And have expectations that are for you, by you. Yeah. Instead of like, you know, assuming this is what other people should be thinking about you, or feeling some type of way about you. How about, okay, this is what I need to do for me.
It's good.
Yeah. One thing I think motherhood has really taught me is like, you really don't know what other people are walking through, what other people are experiencing, and that you just have to be compassionate and put yourself in other people's positions. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm a makeup artist and I'm so lazy to do my own makeup. I love doing
like beautiful, like
natural
perfect
beauty
skin.
right here.
Well, to be fair, I am wearing some makeup, but on the norm, I hate doing my own makeup. I'm way too lazy. But I can't tell you how many times, because I was so used to always doing my makeup, I can't tell you how many times I'd walk into a room without wearing makeup and people would be like, are you feeling okay?
Every girl has gotten
Are you sick today?
If you're a girl and you've never gotten this, you're going to get it. Because every time when you don't have some are you tired? Are you okay?
Pro
No,
tip,
I'm fine.
men, are you listening? I hope we have not lost you.
Say this.
Never ask a woman if she's tired. Literally never. Here's how it's interpreted.
Hold
the bags under your eyes are taking real estate on your face. And we don't want to hear it. It does not make us feel loved, thought about, taken care of.
And as a
Never.
mom,
We got
as a
plenty of
mom,
sleep.
you actually don't have time to do your makeup every day. You don't have time. Like, I did my makeup in the car on the way to come here and shoot this.
While you were driving?
While I was driving.
Yeah, but
don't do it. I wouldn't encourage people to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm a professional, so I can.
Well, I'm not a professional, and I do it on the reg. So, yeah.
I just don't want anybody getting into an accident.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I took
Yeah.
Right. They are driving right now. Put the mascara wand down, girl.
Exactly. But I learned a very valuable lesson through that experience of transitioning from you don't always have the time to do that. You don't have the energy to do that.
Yeah.
And there are many other women in the same boat, even if you're not a mom. Let's say you've been studying all night.
Right.
And you wake up and you're going to school and you're rushing. You're like, the last thing I'm thinking about is doing my makeup.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear someone come up to them and be like, are you feeling okay?
Right. It's like, no, I'm taking care of business. So I didn't have time to sit in front of the mirror
makeup
for
was
you.
not a priority
Thank you.
for me today.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, we should be comfortable with ourselves to know, okay, I'm not wearing makeup today. Not the greatest look I have going on, but that's okay. Like, I have a purpose with my day today. I have stuff I'm taking care of. For me, it was, I have a kid, and that is my priority.
Yeah.
So everybody else can just deal with it.
And you're about to have
This
two.
is me.
So
And I'm about to have two,
Yeah.
so I won't even be able to do my makeup in the car anymore.
maybe one mascara. One eye of mascara.
I'm just
one.
going to run to the bathroom and just like, that's it. I'm
Yeah, I
good.
love it.
If you think about it, I feel like a lot of times we just do that for other people.
Yeah.
So it's
Totally.
like, how long do you want to keep that up? Like,
Yeah.
My
That was
favorite
my
thing,
next point.
my favorite thing that I've always heard is girls don't get dressed up for guys; they get dressed up for other girls.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But like
Absolutely.
honestly, your man's has to accept you the way you look naturally because you're gonna wake up that way. So you better like me for my
For
real
the rest
hair
of your life.
and
Yeah.
my real face.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Another thing that I'll add, and the last point that I'll make on this, is just be true to yourself.
Totally.
It's good.
Don't feel like, if you don't like makeup, don't wear makeup.
Right.
Like, if you don't want to dress a certain way, then don't dress a certain way. Like,
And if you love it, girl, beat that face.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel like a queen,
That's fine.
wear it.
That's what I'm saying,
Absolutely.
'cause-
Like, kings and queens, y'all, we are queens. And if that means, like, I'm going to curl my hair, like, we are all sitting here like we didn't do our hair today. Like, this thing makes me feel like I'm on top of the world, and I need to feel on top of the world today.
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to wake up an hour earlier and get this done.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to sleep all the way through my alarm clock and show up my best self, bare face.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it really is about just you. You're doing things for you. Don't do it for other people.
Yeah.
If you're about fashion, you love makeup, you love doing your hair, that's awesome. Nobody's
Totally.
saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying do it for you.
Come on.
That's right.
And be realistic about it. If you have moments where you're uncomfortable, that's okay. You're shifting, you're changing.
It's good.
It's seasonal. You just have to roll with the punches and feel satisfied with that.
Yeah. I want to bring a little bit of gospel into it, and then we can wrap this up and go on to line number 3. So don't go anywhere. It's a juicy one. But I think, like, some of the things we say to ourselves, like, hey, you're doing too much today, or hey, you're not doing enough today, or you should try that wing again. Ladies will get that. Guys will have no idea what that means. We speak that way towards ourselves. Imagine me coming up to Rue and being like, so actually, like, that eyeshadow, are we sure? Like, you would never say that to you. But honestly, more importantly, ladies, you are Jesus's best work. Yeah, so you want to look him in the eyes and say that he fell short when he was creating you with intentionality, like who you are on the outside, who you are at your core. You are literally Christ's best work, Christ's masterpiece. I would go as far to say that I think it makes him sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
When we second guess what he took his time on, y'all.
Yeah.
The word says that he got his hands dirty, put his fingers in the dirt to create who we are. I'm going to look in the mirror and say, you should have tried harder. no, I'm going to adjust the way that I see myself. In every area of my life, God, give me your eyes to see the world. But like, let's start here. Like, give me your eyes to see who you created me to be. Give me your eyes to see who you created Ruhama to be. Like give me the eyes to, I love calling you that. I hope you know that I'm never calling you Ru ever again.
That's her name.
I feel Brazilian when I say it. So I just wanted to wrap it up with that, like, girl, like, you are God's best work. And that's the truth. Like, you've been lied to and you've been told that you are too much or not enough, but like, the truth is you are God's best work. And so we're going to tell you that till you're blue in the face. So let's tell each other, let's tell ourselves, and let's tell the men in our lives, yo, I'm God's best work, so step off. Okay, lie number 3 of girl you've been lied to is, y'all, this is a good one. This one gets me fired up.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as godly feminism.
This one's a controversial one, to say the least.
Got
and
heat.
It's definitely got some heat, and I know it's a pretty hot topic. It kind of goes in line with the thought, okay, is the Bible sexist?
Right.
Is our women, empowered in Christianity? Can they really make a difference?
Yeah.
So it's loaded. We're going to try and cover this in a few minutes, but I think there is a lot to be said on this point. I think a lot of women out there are kind of misinformed when it comes to this.
Totally.
And the kind of role that women really do play in the Bible, in the story of Jesus.
Yes.
And the fact that there is such thing as godly feminism. So in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, it says, "The Lord God said, 'It is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him.'" So right there, like right in the beginning of the Bible, it says, women were created for a reason. Men need women.
That's right.
And so that right there shows us women are valuable. Totally. We're important, and we play a role in the lives of men in this world. And so the idea that women aren't important, I think, gets debunked right there with that verse.
Absolutely. Men by themselves,
Not
no
good.
bueno.
Not good.
Yeah.
We all know that men do this.
Wait, but I do have to say, women by themselves, no bueno.
Also,
bueno.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No
Except
bueno.
in this podcast.
Except for you,
This
Nat,
is bueno.
'cause you are handy.
I
Not so handy. You can cook, you can clean, you're a handy woman.
You can build stuff.
I learned how to weld last week, so just saying.
I will say, I think women learn how to be resourceful probably easier or quicker.
Shots fired.
But I do think that women do need men.
Absolutely.
Because we get it in our head that we can do it all by ourselves. We don't need
don't need
nobody. We don't need no help. And then you end up struggling, and then you feel too prideful to ask for help and to reach out.
She said it.
So I think that is rooted in pride, but I do find that it's not just that men need women, women need men. For sure.
Yeah,
we need
totally.
each other.
Yeah, because this all comes back to women, again, trying to prove themselves, trying to assert their power and say, hey, I can do this on my own. I don't need men.
Strong, independent woman.
Exactly. And so another pretty common scripture that gets quoted a lot that I think gets used in this narrative, the Bible is sexist, is found in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. And it says, "Husbands, in the same way be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect as the weaker partner, and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers." So some translations say, instead of weaker partner, it might say weaker vessel. And so a lot of people take that and say, hey, right there, the Bible's saying women are weak, that men are stronger than them. Like, the Bible's got to be against women.
That makes me nervous, I'm not going to lie. Are you about to debunk this?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
going to kind of
praise
talk
God.
through it a little bit.
Bring it to
because
us, Becca.
I
love
think
it.
it's important. Like, we can't just ignore these things. We have to
Right?
talk about it, you know?
Totally.
And we're here to help educate people and help
Yes.
people kind of dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
And if you still have questions, ask them. Because that's really how we're going to get to understanding. So, like I said, some translations call it a weaker vessel. But when you pay attention to the different pieces of this verse, there's a lot of parts in here that shows women are important. It's clearly highlighted here. And essentially, this is Paul basically talking to husbands and letting them know that it's important for them to be considerate of their wives. He's basically telling them, hey, don't just ignore your wife. Like, she's important. You need to be considerate of her. You need to understand her because, she's your partner. And it says, treat them with respect. And it says, as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life. Wow. So Paul is commanding men, hey, you need to respect your wives because they're heirs with you. So I don't know about you, but someone that's an heir, that's, a place of power. Like there's prominence there.
And it says with you, so that means
with
side
you,
by side.
Side by side, exactly.
It's good.
And then at the end, they even ends it like this, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. That is telling us that if a husband is not respecting his wife or is not on good terms with his wife, his prayers can actually be hindered.
Wow.
So
heard
that,
that, boys?
you heard it here.
Yeah, I heard it here first.
So, again, a lot of people get tripped up on that weaker partner or the weaker vessel. And a lot of times, and again, this can, again, be controversial, but it's the idea of, physically speaking, women can be viewed as just not physically as strong as men. I'm sure there's a whole other discussion that can go around that. But when you read these verses, the first thing that's important is to understand the context. See what the kind of verses around it are talking about. Why is the verse being written? Mm-hmm. And then just pick through the verse line by line, and kind of like how we did here, and dissect it exactly.
Absolutely.
Which I think, as we did that, really shows like it's not what it seems. It's
good.
not that women are less. It's not that women are below men. It's just saying here that men have to respect their wives and like treasure them in a way, and be careful with them because they're important and they're heirs.
Totally.
Yeah.
So good.
So
good.
it's so important. I know for me, like I'm sure we're all like strong personalities, like strong-willed women. It's kind of hard to like swallow that and be like, you're trying to tell me that I have to like be submissive, or I have to like follow men,
make myself small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I kind of believe this narrative for a little bit, but then the more you read about it, the more you see the stories that the Bible talks about women, the more you realize, okay, that is not true.
Yeah.
Like God is 100% for women.
He made us powerful and he knows it.
Exactly.
And he believes that about us.
I was going to mention one thing, and you almost just touched on it, but we started studying the women of the Bible in sisterhood, and we got to see and like focus on, they played huge roles.
Huge.
Like God trusted them with so much, and it's not always talked about because I feel like we focus on like the men in the Bible, but the women played such key roles, and it's like once you actually get to reading them and understanding, you learn so much more.
Yeah.
Facts.
I think we'd also see more women in key roles if they weren't so afraid to stand up into those roles.
Sure.
And I think there are many things that contribute to women feeling like they're not enough to step into those roles. But, a lot of times we hear like, well, we don't see enough about women. We don't hear enough or whatever. But it's because a lot of times women are too afraid to stand up for that, or I don't have enough to offer. But you do. You have a voice. You have something to bring to the table. But you have to be the one to do it. You can't wait for someone to pull you in and include you in that leadership role or tell you what to do. Like you have to discover what it is that you're created to do, and then walk confidently in that.
It's good. And not wait for permission.
Exactly. And something that Devin and I have talked a lot about when we've done like relationship messages and conversations is like we talk a lot about wives submit to your husbands, that Bible verse that talks about that. And one of the things that we've broken down is the view of submission can be very intimidating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, what? I have to submit to my spouse? I don't want to have to do that. But the reality is submission really means means under, and submission means under the same mission.
Wow.
So you have different roles to play within that mission, but essentially you're focused on one specific goal, and you're working together to make that happen.
Yeah.
And I think that understanding your place as a woman, understanding a man's place as a man, understanding that we need both to be able to accomplish those things.
Yep.
It's not, who run the world girls. Yeah, we have so much to offer, but it's not all about us, and it's not all about men. And they're not the ones who are responsible for making everything happen. It's together that we make everything happen.
It's really good. Yeah. just as a quick wrap up here, when Jesus rose from the dead, the most important thing to happen in human history, he entrusted 3 women to tell that story to the entire world.
Yeah.
3 women were at the tomb. 3 women saw that the tomb was empty, and surely God rose from the dead. This man that they loved, that they thought that they lost, that this man that they love died and was locked in a tomb. They went to grieve and found the tomb to be empty. And God did not do that on accident. Like, God knew, these are my girls. They're going to show up for me when it counts, and I'm going to entrust this message with them. So I think, man, God's entrusted us with this gospel message now. God's entrusted the 4 of us sitting at this table. Ladies who are listening, God's entrusted you with important messages. 1, the gospel. 2, what is the application of the gospel in your life? And men, we need you. The women ran to the men, and together they all spread this news. So it was women first, and then he told the disciples, which was a bunch of dudes. So listen, this is we're all in this together moment. And I'm just so excited we can have conversations like this. But frankly, we're just getting started. I know we just hit feminism in 9 minutes. So we will see you next week. We've got more. Honestly, I think this Christian feminism thing might need a whole podcast.
Probably.
So podcast team, hello. We need to dig in a little more. Y'all, we will see you next week. We're all going to be sitting here at this table, and we're going to dive into 3 more things. We'll see you next week.
What's up, 508 fam? Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our podcast today titled Girl, You've Been Lied To. We debunked 3 huge lies that a lot of us have believed over the years. So please remember to like and subscribe, or send it to someone that you think needs to hear it. And don't forget, here at the 508, we don't fear the future, we pioneer it. We'll see you next time.
I said we'll see you next week 16 times.